Dalton, our number one returning offensive lineman in college football heading into the 2024 season is Will Campbell, the left tackle out of LSU, who's been starting at left tackle for LSU since he was a true freshman, honestly, Dalton. And he wears the number 7 for LSU. Now, he can't legally because of the rules for offensive linemen, but he's got the little patch on there. And as you know, a lot of people know, 7 is a very, very special number at LSU where legendary players like Patrick Peterson, Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, they've worn that jersey number 4 as kind of reserved for the best of the best at LSU. And Will Campbell, left tackle, is getting that number. So truly special player on the field and in the locker room, clearly for the Tigers.
Yeah, he's certainly on his way to being a very special, legendary player in Baton Rouge, man. And I think what makes him so good is he's just so fundamentally sound at such a young age, and he's so balanced in his game, man. You look at he's the highest graded returning tackle in the Power 4 with an 82.8 last year. Top 5 in run blocking grade, solid 77.9 pass blocking grade, and gave up no sacks last year. The best gap blocking offensive tackle in the country last year. Just a really fundamentally sound and even aggressive presence in the trenches. There's not like a ton of flaws in his game. It's like when we talked about Joe Alt last year, and you ask yourself, like, okay, what does he not do right? And you go, I'm actually not really sure. Like, he's just the most fundamentally sound tackle, and especially you talk about a kid who's 21 years old. Like, he's so advanced in his technique for his age that honestly the only thing he needs to do is just continue to get stronger and continue to physically mature, because his profile is so clean, man. Like, there's no reason to think this year that he won't come out of it as a top 10, maybe at worst the top 15 pick if something goes wrong. And especially in that offense last year with Jaden Daniels back there and they were dropping back, throwing the ball, there's not like a ton of like RPO and like heavy play action and things that help out offensive linemen. There is a lot of true pass set in LSU's offense, the way they were running it with Mike Denbrock last year. Campbell was put in one-on-one situations in the run-in pass game, and he succeeded all the time.
He absolutely did, man. And he was great as a true freshman in 2022. I mean, whenever you're a true freshman left tackle in the SEC, I mean, you're expected to be terrible, honestly, no matter how good you are coming out of high school. He was awesome, dude. He had an 85.6 pass blocking grade on true pass sets that year, which, again, true pass sets are kind of a better way to look at pass blocking than just pure pass blocking grade, because it kind of isolates to kind of one-on-one situations for an offensive lineman against a defensive lineman. By the way, the drip is unbelievable. I don't know if you saw Dalton, that video right there of him wearing the sunglasses. I mean, clearly the drip is why he's also our number one offensive lineman in college football as well. But again, that 85.6 pass blocking grade on true passes in 2022, the only Power 5 tackle who had a higher grade was Peter Skoronski. And Peter Skoronski, that very next April, went on to be the number 11 overall pick in the draft. So Peter Skoronski was number 1, and then a true freshman in the SEC was number 2. So that's to show you already how special he is. And then you hear that and he goes, all right, great pass blocker. What about the run game? This past year, he was 5th among all tackles in the country in run blocking grade, too. So really amazing pass blocker, really amazing run blocker. And he's the 5th most valuable Power 5 tackle since 2022, according to a wins above average metric. 3 of the 4 above him were all top 15 picks in the NFL draft this past year in Joe Alt, Talisa Fuanga, and J.C. Latham. And Will Campbell, I think, is almost a lock to be a top 15 pick in the NFL draft, at least, if not a top 10 pick, if not a top 5 pick. And Dalton, in a weak quarterback class that we have this year, there's a chance he could go number 1 overall. Honestly, I think he's that good of a player overall. What are the negatives, though, that you see with Will Campbell right now?
I think we just need to see him physically mature, right? Just kind of get older and keep working out and get a little bit stronger, because when you look at the types of pressures he gives up, especially, in pass blocking, it's a lot of bull rush. It's a lot of like inside rip move against a lot of stronger edge players, right? He gave up 17 pressures last year total. 7 of them were to 3 guys, Jared Verse, Chris Braswell, and Darius Robinson. And the key component is those were 3 of the strongest players in the country. When he saw speed rushers trying to turn the corner on him, say like a Dallas Turner or somebody like that, it wasn't as big an issue because his technique is so sound. But when he gets a guy like Jared Verse really bull rushing him, getting right in his chest, or using an inside counter rip move and things like that to take a more direct line to the quarterback, he's a little bit high, and he just needs to get a little bit stronger to handle and anchor that sort of move, right? Or like when you watch him against Darius Robinson, who's got just freakish upper body strength. That's the type of guy that gives Will Campbell problems. So I think it's very specific. Speed rushers don't stand a whole lot of a chance. He gets his hands on him. He keeps moving his feet. He gets to the outside with the best of them. He just needs to prevent guys from going right through him. And again, you're talking about three special players, right? Yeah. Jared Verse and Darius Robinson went in the first round, and Chris Braswell went in the top 50. So, like, maybe the three best power rushers in the entire country last year are the guys I'm talking about when you say, oh, who gave Will Campbell problems? These are the types of guys that give him issues, right? Elite power rushers. Do you see a ton of them week to week in college football? No, but when he does, I would like to see him be a little bit stronger and just anchor against bull rushes, especially a little bit better.
Yeah, I think his anchor is the biggest issue with him right now because I think he has a strong upper body and good hand placement, but I think his lower body and his anchor is a big problem. And I think, first of all, he's got to get stronger. You're completely right with that. He also plays with an incredibly narrow base, dude. I don't know if you noticed that too when you were watching his tape, that, you know, his pass sets, his feet are so close together, honestly, which I think could contribute to why his anchor and his lower body strength isn't that great right now. Also, I don't think this is that big of an issue because you mentioned he handles speed rushers really well, and I agree with that. But in our GAS metric, our game athleticism score metric, he was in the 33rd percentile in 2022 and 26th percentile this past season. Now, again, I think he's got the foot speed to handle speed rushers. I think just when you get him out in space, he's maybe not as athletic as other tackles, like, say, a Calvin Banks Jr., who's a freak athlete. I wouldn't call Will Campbell a freak athlete, but he is as technically sound as you can find, man. I think he just gets a little bit stronger in that lower half and maybe play with a little bit of a wider base. He could be as special of an offensive tackle as we have in college football in recent memory, and we've had a lot in recent memory too with Joe Alt and Penei Sewell and guys like that. I think Will Campbell could be close to that company, man, if he continues to develop like he's done so far in his career. But that's what we got for our number one offensive lineman in college football, Will Campbell out of LSU.